Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Breaking news at noon, not guilty by reason of insanity. A man charged with killing a UPS driver is headed to a mental hospital instead of prison. Emotional statements from the family just ahead.
And if you've been outside, you know it's cold. Our wind chill is making it feel like 20s to low 30s for most of us. We do have some slightly warmer air, though, on the way. I'll show you when.
A TikTok challenge didn't go the company's way. What a ruling by an appeals company might mean for the future of the social media app.
Arctic air returned today, and the wind is creating very cold conditions this afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm Chris Lovingood.
And I'm Grace Haba. Renee and Jeff have the afternoon off. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at this frigid air coming through our area.
Oh, it's cold out there, and you probably know that if you've been outside. It definitely looks beautiful. We're seeing sunshine here in Apex. People up and down the street, but definitely bundled up with these chilly temperatures. It's officially 38 degrees in the Triangle, and our winds are calm, so we're not actually seeing a wind chill right here in the Triangle, but we are seeing some breezy conditions in other places. So the wind chill is in the box on the right. It feels like 32 in Southern Pines and Fayetteville. It feels like 29 in Goldsboro, 31 in Rocky Mount, and 25 in Roxborough. So very cold this noontime hour. Here's a look at what's about to happen with our winds, though. We'll be gusting up to about 10 to 12 this afternoon. But this evening, the winds start to die down, and we'll have very little wind chill in the morning now. So it is still going to be a cold start, but we won't have to deal with the wind chill. This is our hour-by-hour forecast. We only make it up into the low 40s for this afternoon. And of course, with the wind chill, it is going to feel like 30s. The next several days, at least today and tomorrow, will be cold. But look at Sunday, 63 degrees. I'll show you what's changing with our forecast to bring some warm air back.
Happening now in the WRAL Live Center, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance right now at this noon hour touring the western part of the state, touring areas damaged by Hurricane Helene. Take a look at these images that we've been covering since this storm hit back in October. He arrived in Asheville about an hour ago. He's headed to Fairview, also located in Buncombe County. These are the images from which people are still recovering there in the western part of our state. Not only had they recovered from Helene, now they're dealing with bitterly cold temperatures, many of whom are living in campers or makeshift shelters. Some people are living with friends at this point. Vance will meet with first responders and their families who were affected and still recovering from Helene. Of course, we'll be monitoring Vice President-elect J.D. Vance's visit. Look for full reports starting at 4 right here on WRAL.
Breaking news at noon, the man charged with killing a FedEx driver is not headed to prison. Instead, he's headed to a state mental hospital. Stephen Bynum is charged with killing Dylan Wall in February 2021. Wall was shot more than a dozen times while trying to deliver packages in Raleigh. This is a story WRAL's Chelsea Donovan has been covering. She was in the courtroom for the emotional victims' impact statements. And we understand there were some heated exchanges outside the courtroom, Chelsea.
Strong emotion and even outrage after court today as the court found that Stephen Bynum was found not guilty by reason of insanity. This is all how it happened back in 2021. Dylan Wall, a FedEx driver, was actually shot 9 times while delivering packages on South Street here in downtown Raleigh. But the court found that they believed that Bynum was not sane when he pulled the trigger, leaving that man dead after he was delivering those packages. Now, multiple family members addressed the judge this morning, expressing their pain and sorrow that Wall was killed senselessly simply by trying to make a living. Now, after the crime, Stephen Bynum was charged with his murder, but no motive or reason has ever come to light in this shooting. Documents show Bynum underwent a mental health evaluation just a few weeks ago, and Bynum's public defender said in court today that Bynum was schizophrenic and always will be, according to his doctors. Now, Wall's family believes that's a complete injustice and an excuse and feel they have been failed by the court system.
Since that day, our world has been destroyed. I have an emptiness in my heart and soul that was where my son used to be.
Now, Bynum said one phrase in court after the family spoke, and that he was sorry for causing the family pain. His attorney said he is just simply not capable of saying much more. So what happens next? Usually in a case like this, if someone's found guilty, they go off to a prison. That's not the case here. He is not guilty by means of insanity. That means he will go up north to Granville County, to Central Regional Jail, and he will go yearly mental health evaluations. One prosecutor that I spoke to said it is very likely he will at least spend a decade there, if not life. We're live in Raleigh. Chelsea Donovan, WRAL News.
And happening now in the WRAL Live Center, the manhunt intensifies for the man suspected of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Take a look at some of these new images that's being released by the NYPD today. New surveillance video showing, of course, this is the act of when this happened. They've interviewed several experts about this situation. We've got new surveillance video showing that this suspected shooter riding through the streets of New York City. New York City police also looking into whether the suspect paid cash or used a fake ID to rent a room at an Upper East Side hostel. Authorities say these clear photos of this suspect is a person of interest. It was taken at that Upper East Side hostel. Thompson was a husband and father of 2 boys. If any new information comes out during this noon hour, of course, we'll update you right here in the WRAL Live Center.
Of course, we'll check back in with you. Thank you, Ken. Breaking news this afternoon. A federal court of appeals rejected TikTok's challenge to a law that could ban the app in the United States. TikTok must sell to an American owner by January 19th, 2025, or face an effective ban. Lawmakers say the company gives the Chinese government potential access to personal data of Americans. TikTok plans to take that appeal to the Supreme Court.
The organization that accredits St. Augustine's University will have to make a decision by early next week. WRAL's Destiny Patterson is at the university with that story.
St. Augustine's University has been fighting for its accreditation for about the past 2 years now. The university is currently on probation. The decision by the accrediting board determines whether the school gets federal funding and if its students can receive federal aid. The accrediting board, SAC-COC, previously noted issues with financial management and a lack of oversight at the school. WRAL has covered the university's struggles, including IRS liens, missed paychecks, incorrect student balances, and unpaid bills. A now-dismissed lawsuit filed by the alumni group Save SAU also accused board members of not following proper protocols and violating bylaws. Since July, the school has completed its required financial audits dating back to 2022. A forensic audit to investigate the chairman of the board found no wrongdoing. The university also announced a land lease deal that could bring in $70 million by next June. SAC-COC will take all of that into consideration, and then they'll vote on whether to fully reaffirm the school or revoke its membership during its annual meeting. That meeting starts tomorrow. Destiny Patterson, WRAL News, Raleigh.
If the accrediting board chooses to revoke St. Aug's membership, the university said it would appeal. Its accreditation would be temporarily restored while that appeal process plays out.
Job growth surged in the United States last month. It was an expected rebound after hurricanes and striking workers heavily altered the October data. The new Bureau of Labor Statistics report shows 227,000 jobs were added last month. Meanwhile, the unemployment rate increased to 4.2%, and that's actually much higher compared to the same time last year. Economists were expecting a net gain of 200,000 jobs in November and for the unemployment rate to remain the same. All right, let's see how the investors are reacting to this report today. Looks like the Dow Jones is down about 110 points right now. S&P up just 9 points and the NASDAQ up 108. Actually, the S&P and NASDAQ hit new record highs after that job report released today.
5 years ago, an accidental fire gutted the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. Restoration teams began to work to bring the iconic church back, even before the smoke had even cleared. This weekend, dignitaries, tourists, and the faithful will gather as those doors reopen for the very first time since the blaze. NBC's Dre Cray is outside the cathedral with a closer look at the rebuild.
Well, the sun just beginning to set beyond the Seine River here on the eve of what's going to be very special, for many very sacred, and certainly an historic weekend here. Notre Dame, the church that's more than 850 years old, ravaged by fire more than 5 years ago, now coming back to life. And frankly, many at the time of that blaze, as they saw the destruction, saw the main steeple crumble into ash, feared that this may never come. But they will reopen this weekend in two very distinct and separate ceremonies. On Saturday, you'll have the state-driven ceremony, more political, if you will, dignitaries from around the world, as many as 50, including First Lady Dr. Jill Biden and President-elect Donald Trump. They will be a part of those in attendance. 2,000 or more will be a part of that ceremony. And then Sunday, we will see the first Mass that will be held inside Notre Dame since the fire. And that sure to be very special, very emotional. The interior has been refurbished and is pristine at this point. Close to 2,000 construction workers, architects, artisans, wood craftsmen working to bring this iconic church back. But you can see, as you look at the structure, it's still covered in scaffolding here. You've got cranes as well on the outside. That's because they're continuing to refurbish the facade, but also repurposing some of the grounds surrounding the church. That's a process that will continue for 2 to 3 years. But again, the inside is back and ready, and it should just be an amazing weekend here in Paris. That's the very latest from just outside of Notre Dame. I'm Jay Gray, NBC News.
And as mentioned, President-elect Donald Trump does plan to attend that reopening ceremony. It will open to the public on Saturday. Trump's transition team has not yet said whether he will also meet with other foreign leaders while in Paris.
Your time is 12:10. The mission to send astronauts around the moon was pushed back again. In just a couple of minutes, a rundown of what's behind this latest delay of Artemis 2.
And a judge rejected a plea deal between the DOJ and Boeing. We'll explain what it would have allowed and how families of the victims.
WRAL is trying to learn the name of a driver who died in a crash involving one vehicle. It happened around 6:30 this morning on Redwood Road near Electra Road in Durham County. Here's WRAL's Nick Perlin.
Both lanes of Redwood Road in Durham are closed due to a crash that left one person dead and the pickup truck behind me badly damaged. Let's get you to this video from the Sky 5, and you can see here state troopers have this entire stretch blocked off as they investigate what exactly led to this crash. And you can see the pickup truck is badly damaged. It looks like the back light is all crunched up, and the tire of the driver's side is actually knocked off of the truck. So right now, investigators are still trying to give us more information about what led up to this crash. It does appear that it is a single vehicle crash, but we do know sadly one person is dead. We're still working to get more information on what exactly happened early this morning. In Durham, Nick Perlin, WRAL News.
Wake County deputies charged a student with bringing a gun to school. This happened yesterday at River Oaks Middle on New Bern Avenue. A school resource officer received a report of a gun on campus, and during a search, officers found an unloaded firearm in the gymnasium.
A federal judge has rejected a plea deal between the Department of Justice and Boeing over a criminal fraud charge. That charge stems from 2 fatal crashes of the 737 MAX aircraft. The plea deal would have required Boeing to admit it deceived the FAA about critical safety issues tied to flight control software on both of those doomed flights. Victims' families have long opposed this deal, saying it doesn't do enough to hold Boeing accountable. The Justice Department and Boeing now have 30 days to decide how to proceed. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky paid tribute to fallen soldiers as the war with Russia rages on. Today is Armed Forces Day. Zelensky laid flowers at the Wall of Remembrance and presented honorary awards to the families of fallen soldiers, as well as the members of the military. He also thanked those serving during an address.
Astronauts with the Artemis 2 crew were scheduled to travel to space next September. Well, it was just pushed back again to April 2026. Chanley Painter explains why.
Houston, we have a problem. Astronauts hoping to reach for the stars are facing roadblocks on their next trips to the final frontier. This as NASA reveals its plans to push back upcoming missions around and to the surface of the moon. The announcement coming in the wake of investigations into a crucial component of the Artemis 1 craft. While there were no astronauts inside as it circled the moon in 2022, officials say the Orion crew capsule's heat shield suffered cracks and erosion upon its re-entry into the atmosphere.
we were able to recreate the problem here on Earth, and now we know the root cause.
NASA plans to keep the design of the heat shield the same for Artemis 2, but officials cite necessary changes in the path it would take during its return to Earth.
We and our industry and international partners need this time to make sure that the Orion capsule is ready.
The Artemis 2 mission was set for fall of 2025 and would have sent 4 astronauts around the moon and back. The new target date is now projected for April of 2026.
After learning from the Artemis 2 crewed test flight, we plan to launch Artemis 3.
Meanwhile, the Artemis 3 project now hopes to see 2 astronauts land on the moon by at least 2027.
That was Channing Painter with that story, and I really hope that they can make it happen because Christina Cook, I've interviewed her several times, and she really wants to go on that trip.
That would be pretty cool.
I'm hoping it works out for them.
Yes, patience is key for them. Waking up this morning, it was certainly cold. It slapped me in the face. WRAL's meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. A lot of clear skies, but a lot of frigid air out there, too.
We're going to see that for the rest of the day today and through tomorrow. But then big changes are headed our way for Sunday. And we'll talk more about that in a second. We do have beautiful blue skies here in Durham. And of course, this is the Lucky Strike Tower that will be all lit up tonight and every night between now and New Year's. 38 is our current temperature. We're going to climb only into the low 40s for this afternoon, and that's a good bit below normal. We take a look at our temperatures across the region. It's 35 in Southern Pines, 37 in Goldsboro, 34 in Roxborough. Here we are at noon, and our temperatures are still in the 30s. And these temperatures are anywhere from 15 to 25 degrees colder than they were this time yesterday. So we talked about the wind gusts. So we are definitely going to see the winds dying down once we get to 5 or 6 o'clock. So we are not likely to have much wind chill overnight tonight or tomorrow morning, but tomorrow is still going to be a really cold day. Hour by hour wind chill for the rest of the day today. It's going to feel only like 35 degrees this afternoon. And then this evening, it'll drop down to around 30 at 7 o'clock and then into the upper 20s all the way through midnight. Around town this afternoon, officially looking at a high of around 42 for Raleigh and Durham and 45 for Fayetteville. Again, pretty far below normal. Outdoor plans over the weekend. It's chilly out there right now. It will stay chilly for tomorrow. Our wind is coming out of the northwest. That is bringing the cold air in. So highs in the upper 40s for tomorrow. So you want to bundle up. Now Sunday looks completely different. We did put the yellow a little iffy. It just depends on, do you feel like bundling up to head out on Saturday? We'll see plenty of sunshine. Sunny on Sunday, maybe some increasing clouds late in the day, but highs will be in the low 60s. So a much warmer, much more comfortable feel for Sunday. So if you are headed out for any holiday markets or you're out doing any shopping, just remember Saturday will be a good bit colder than Sunday. Our normal high is 57, so we'll see a high of 49 Saturday, and then we're in the 60s Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and that may look nice temperature-wise, but I'll show you why it may not be so comfortable. Coming up, our normal low is 36. Tomorrow morning, 23. It's really going to be a cold start, and then 30 Sunday. After that, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we are well above freezing. Apex Christmas Parade is tomorrow. We'll see lots of sunshine. It'll be clear for the parade. It's a night parade. Starts at 5 o'clock. Temperatures will be in the low 40s to upper 30s during the parade, so make sure you bundle up, but it shouldn't be too windy. Look what happens once we warm up. Sunday does stay dry, but Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we have rain in the forecast. It is much needed rain. I'll show you how much we could see, especially Wednesday, coming up.
All right, Elizabeth, thank you. Going to need those jackets. We'll still come on WRAL's Evening News. A local restaurant scores a rare C health score. 5 on your side details the reasons why and tonight's restaurant ratings at 5.
Then at 6 o'clock, new federal claims that a weapons detector used by several of our local school systems overpromised what it could do. WRAL investigates what this means for our local school systems who spent millions of dollars on this tech.
There's little lunch spots, so you don't even have to leave the building.
We'll show you how developers are converting malls to address the housing shortage.
Plus, is it the latest tech, the hottest fashion? Maybe it's the newest toys? Nope, it's none of them. We'll tell you what the most popular Christmas gift is of all. More than 4 million consumers hit by a massive credit repair scheme will soon find a check in their mailbox. The Consumer Finance Protection Bureau says victims will share about $1.8 billion. Those funds come from settlements with several credit repair companies, including creditrepair.com. The Bureau says consumers were illegally charged advance fees or allegedly became embroiled in bait-and-switch advertising. Payments should be made between now and January. American drivers are shortening the life of their vehicles by simply not taking care of simple maintenance issues. According to Carfax, Americans are neglecting necessary ongoing car care. That's your oil changes and your tire rotations, and all of it might be causing your car to wear out prematurely. Other maintenance, like replacing air filters, cabin filters, and other electronic repairs that also go ignored, can become costly later.
Yeah, that little yellow light, that means check your engine. Yeah. You probably should do that. So to fight the challenge of finding housing, more malls are being converted into apartments. Nearly 34 million square feet of U.S. mall space is vacant and off the market. At the same time, the country has a housing deficit of 4.5 million homes. Buildings such as the Arcade Mall in Providence, Rhode Island, are being sought after. Essentially, developers decided to build 48 lofts on the second and third floors there.
Do you ever have any concerns about privacy?
Not really. It's something you get used to living in the building, having people coming and going. Everybody has blinds in their apartment that they can raise or lower as they like.
A little privacy in there, right? One investor purchased an apartment inside the mall for $250,000. The plan is to rent it out as an Airbnb, and he estimates he can earn up to $45,000 annually.
While many of us are probably looking for that perfect present for our loved ones, a new survey shows the gift that people really want is just money. In a recent survey, Lending Tree found 49% of responders say their wish is just to receive cash as presents at some point this holiday season. According to the data, cash is significantly popular among people with children younger than 18, Gen Zers, and millennials. Some say they would use that money for savings, while others say they would treat themselves to something nice.
Uber is getting into the holiday spirit. It will now deliver a fresh cut Christmas tree and even a group of carolers to your front door, depending where you live. The company is partnering with the holiday icon Macaulay Culkin of Home Alone. Who else, right? He's going to be helping to spread the cheer. If you open the Uber Eats app, tap the gingerbread icon, you can browse away at what you can get. And starting tomorrow, drivers will deliver carolers to customers in New York City, Los Angeles, Miami, and Washington, D.C. But Grace, I'm so sorry, no service in the Triangle.
Oh no, I love some carolers. Carolers, it's a tongue twister there. Well, slick roads, Arctic air, and more snow is on the way. How millions of Americans are bracing for yet another round of winter weather. Plus,
that was the first time where it actually hit me that things are going to change and it's going to be different.
Why one university is warning thousands of international students to return early after their holiday break. And before we go, here's a quick look at your NC Education lottery numbers. We'll be right back.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
We welcome you back with an advisory for travelers. There are several warnings from the Great Lakes to New England as the north gets blasted by yet another round of nasty winter weather.
And temperatures are plunging across the country, including areas not used to winter weather and having that chill. As NBC's Aaron McLaughlin reports, 15 million people are under winter weather alerts.
This morning, folks in Erie, Pennsylvania are dealing with a fresh blast of blizzard-like weather, adding to the 5 feet of snow that has fallen in the last week. Whiteout conditions and gusty winds across the Great Lakes, stopping people literally in their tracks. While at Lake Erie, waves as high as 15 feet, slamming against the base of Bicentennial Tower. Overnight, up to a foot of fresh lake effect snow is expected to fall across New York State and parts of New England. Officials urging caution after at least 2 died while clearing snow in New York. Even more widespread, the threat of intense wind gusts and frigid cold. With some 35 million Americans under high wind alerts overnight and temperatures along the East Coast plunging as much as 20 degrees below normal, even triggering freeze warnings in Florida and Georgia. The winds so strong, it caused this truck to fold in half.
It's kind of been a crazy week or so.
The onslaught of winter weather so intense, even some first responders needed help. A volunteer firehouse converted into an emergency warming center had to be evacuated as the roof buckled under the weight of the snow.
As the firehouse collapses and we're out a whole bunch of resources.
Neighbors responded with shovels.
How does it make you feel to see the community show up?
It makes me feel great. I mean, my phone has blown up for the last 2 or 3 hours of people that want to come out and help.
In Asheville, North Carolina, where many are still displaced by the destructive hurricane that hit 2 months ago, temperatures dropping to 13 degrees today, with wind chills near zero.
Happening now in the WRAL Live Center, we now know the names of 2 of the 4 victims who died in a fiery crash in Lucama yesterday afternoon. Take a look at this video of that crash scene of a head-on collision there in Wilson County. This happened on US 301 shortly before 5 yesterday afternoon near Mobley Road in Lucama. 2 people were in each car. 2 people, and all 4 died. Authorities just releasing the names of 2 people in one of those vehicles. 53-year-old Greta Penda and 21-year-old Brandy Sherrod. We're still working to find the names of the 2 people in the second vehicle. As soon as we get that new information, we'll be sure to share it with you here at the WRAL Live Center.
Ken, thank you. Pregnant women face increased health problems if they're victims of partner abuse. A new report found that intimate partner violence was reported by 5% of women during pregnancy. Researchers say IPV is associated with delayed or no prenatal care and affects health conditions during pregnancy as well as infant birth outcomes. The report also showed the abuse can lead to depression during pregnancy, cigarette smoking, drug abuse, and low birth weight. Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield is reversing a proposed challenge to its anesthesia policy after receiving backlash. The insurance company now says it will not revise its billing standards for anesthesia during medical procedures. The company says the policy was meant to establish that the insurer would only pay for anesthesia services up to the time limit set by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. That reversal comes on the heels of the fatal shooting of the United Healthcare CEO in New York this week.
More than 17,000 international students at the University of Southern California are being warned to return to campus, specifically before President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration on January 20th. As Ted Chen explains, there are concerns that incoming policy will hold up their reentry into the United States.
On the USC campus, an air of uncertainty heading into the holiday break. International students received this letter from the university administration, urging them to return before President-elect Donald Trump is sworn in on January 20th.
I think it definitely was like a scary reality.
Pragya Bhatta and Amber Hoddle are both international students who got the warning about staying out of the country for too long. Hoddle is headed to Australia and Bhatta is going to India for the holiday break. They say the warning from the university to come back before the new administration takes office was sobering.
I think that was the first time where it actually hit me that like things are gonna change and it's gonna be different.
I was just shocked. Like I didn't think it was gonna affect me at all. Like I had assumed, because I've already worked out a lot of my immigration stuff before coming here, I'd assumed that it wouldn't really change. And so the fact that I got that letter, it made me a little bit nervous. I immediately texted my parents.
The letter says it's unclear what, if any, executive orders might come down once Trump retakes the White House, but implores students to avoid any issues by coming back to the U.S. sooner rather than later. And it lays out which documents they must have in order. The warning comes in the wake of Trump's promise of immigration crackdowns and mass deportations for people who are here illegally. Immigration attorney Eric Lee says the university is doing the right thing by notifying international students.
This is new territory. And the students who have, if you are a student on an F or a J visa, you need to get back to the United States as quickly as possible. It's going to be a lot harder than students may realize to challenge legally actions that result in their being excluded physically from the territoriality of the United States.
That was Ted Chen reporting. Nearly 6,000 students from China were enrolled in the fall semester of 2024, followed by India and South Korea.
It appears Vice President Kamala Harris's presidential campaign will close in the green. According to new filings with the federal regulators, the defunct presidential campaign had just under $2 million in cash on hand as of November 25th. This comes as the campaign's money management has been under intense scrutiny. Frenzied spending in the final weeks of the campaign, followed by aggressive fundraising efforts after the election, raised questions about whether the campaign had unpaid bills.
Your time is 12:35. Spread holiday cheer, not your germs. From the Christmas tree to your candles, we'll explain what allergens could make your symptoms worse this holiday season.
Plus, some economists predict a bump in inflation next year. And a live interview here, an economist perspective on what a Republican-controlled Congress means for your taxes. That's next. You can watch WRAL News live anytime on WRAL.com or the WRAL app on your streaming device. As the temperatures dip, you're probably spending a lot more time indoors, and you might find yourself reaching for those tissues as you decorate.
And common allergens that can lurk there could be a reason you're feeling a little sniffles. Mandy Gaither has more on why this season can bring about allergies.
It's time for the tree, the lights, and the presents. But if the holidays have your allergies acting up, there may be a reason for that.
A lot of it is actually our Christmas tree and decorations. These are our common culprits that can exacerbate these symptoms.
Allergist Dr. Sandra Hong with the Cleveland Clinic says the holidays can be challenging for those who have allergies or asthma. She says both live and artificial trees can trigger allergy symptoms.
Real trees, they can actually carry both mold on them and spores and pollen. While the artificial trees can accumulate lots of dust and mold if they haven't been properly stored.
And that's not all. Hong says holiday decorations can also be a trigger thanks to dust mites and pest droppings. And our favorite scents, like candles to smell this time of year, can also make you sneeze.
It's possible to wear a mask when you're getting the holiday decorations out because that'll decrease what you're actually breathing in.
Hong also advises allergy sufferers to avoid live trees, but if your holiday spirit won't allow that, she says try to shake the tree outdoors before bringing it in to knock off pollen and mold. You can also hose it down and let it dry in full sunlight to cut down on the allergens. She says it's also important to dispose of the tree as soon as the holiday is over.
That was Mandy Gaither reporting. And another suggestion is for storing holiday decor, including field bags or even plastic boxes. Those can also reduce the risk of allergens building up for the next season.
Good pieces of advice. Well, New York puts on a dino on display. What makes this 20-foot-long apex so special?
Plus, if you have ever wanted to visit some of the country's national parks, well, now is your time to start planning. We'll tell you about how you can drop in for free.
You're taking a live look at Franklinton and watching WRAL News, available on Spectrum and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device.
Wells Fargo economists recently released their annual economic outlook for 2025. And among their predictions, they have bumped up their forecast of inflation for next year while shaving down their real GDP growth forecast. Joining us to discuss the summary is economist Jackie Benson. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So they're still expecting the Federal Reserve to ease monetary policy further, but believe the target range for the federal funds rate will be 50 BPS higher at the end of 2025. Talk a little bit about that.
That's exactly right. So our outlook has evolved, and that's mainly based on expected policies from the incoming Trump administration. The two big ones are tariffs and tax cuts. So those two policies have mixed effects on economic growth, but they're both inflationary. So as we expect inflation to remain more stubborn and be higher than it otherwise would, that leads us to expect the Fed to cut interest rates by relatively less.
So we've seen a kind of shift in power, at the political level. Republican control of both chambers of Congress. They're expecting a full extension of the 2017 tax cuts. So what's the likelihood we could actually see that next year?
So when it comes to tax cuts, that might take longer because that has to happen through Congress and there needs to be negotiations. We're not only expecting an extension of the TCJA, but added tax cuts on top of that, most likely on the individual side of the tax code. So we're not penciling that in until 2026.
So a lot of people may be watching this right now. They're listening to this on the national level, but wondering, okay, what does this mean for me? This economic outlook, what does this mean for maybe some issues such as housing and the labor markets?
So talking about the Carolinas, North and South Carolina are coming in from a strong position. North Carolina, especially, and thinking about the Raleigh area, that has stronger job growth than the U.S. average. That said, high interest rates are weighing on economic activity, and payrolls in Raleigh have actually contracted for a few months in a row now. So our expectation for higher interest rates is going to keep interest rate sensitive sectors like housing, technology under pressure, particularly affecting home builders who, on top of higher borrowing costs, may face higher costs of home construction materials and weaker labor force growth in the construction workforce, coinciding with stricter immigration policies.
A lot of different updates there, especially as you just mentioned the construction process there. Thank you so much for joining us, Jackie Benson.
Sure.
Time now is 12:46 on this Friday afternoon. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is joining us now. Elizabeth, we need to know, do we need the jackets still this weekend, or is there any chance for a bit more sun?
So we're going to see lots of sunshine. It will warm up a little bit for us on Sunday. We're about to see a big change in our weather pattern. We're going to talk about some rain headed our way as well, but not for the weekend. We take a look at Fayetteville as well as Apex, Raleigh, and Chapel Hill. Blue skies everywhere. Watching a little bit of a breeze. We're going to see the winds starting to really taper off a bit later this afternoon. So we'll still deal with a wind chill this afternoon. It's only going to feel as warm as the mid 30s. Actual high this afternoon, 42, and Saturday, 49 and 63 on Sunday. So we do see a big jump in our temperature between Saturday and Sunday. So, getting out on Saturday, definitely going to be a heavier jacket or coat. Sunday, maybe a lighter jacket with that temperature around 63. We are still looking at a very cold night tonight, looking at 21 in Fayetteville, 20 in Durham, 21 in South Hill. As a matter of fact, tonight may even be colder than last night. So if you're an early riser on Saturday, if you're one of those folks who likes to get out for an early run, or you just happen to be up and out early tomorrow morning, it's going to be really, really chilly. This high pressure system is the cause of that. High pressure systems have winds that rotate clockwise, and it's dragging down all that cold air from Canada and just continues to push it in our direction. Things will start to change on Sunday. Instead of seeing the wind coming out of the north, by Sunday, the wind begins to come out of the south ahead of our next front. We will also end up seeing some rain Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Will likely have the potential for heavy rain and thunderstorms on Wednesday, and the temperatures with that southerly flow will really warm up, and we'll begin to feel that on Sunday. But the rain doesn't show up most likely until Monday morning, potentially after the morning commute. Keep checking back because the timeline on this is likely to change a little bit between now and early next week. You can see some scattered showers here on Tuesday. We'll pause it again here at 8 o'clock on Wednesday morning and watch through the afternoon and evening. A lot of rain looks like it could come in with this front on Wednesday, and it turns colder behind it. So the back edge of that could be some snow in the mountains, not for us, just for the mountains. We are looking at anywhere from 1 inch to 2 inches of rain with this, though, on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, especially Wednesday, looking like the heaviest, and we definitely need it. Our drought status that came in this week is moderate drought for almost our entire viewing area. We just really haven't seen a whole lot of rain since say October, November. Both of those months were really dry, so we are behind on rain. This will not get us back to normal, but at least it'll be something. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, nice warm looking temperatures, but we'll have a chance of showers each day. And of course, behind that, it does turn colder. Wednesday night down to 33. Thursday, we're back to sunshine, but mid 40s, so back below normal again.
All right, Elizabeth, thank you. The lead singer of a musical group is clearing up assumptions about the band's biggest hit. What the writer says the song YMCA is really all about.
Ah, yes, the WRAL studio tower in its natural habitat. Make sure as you're driving by the evening, you'll see it all nice and lit up as we had our beautiful tower lighting ceremony this week. It was pretty cool. So as we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines that we're tracking today. This breaking story, the man charged with killing a UPS driver is not headed to prison. Instead, he is headed to a state mental hospital. Stephen Bynum is charged with killing Dylan Wall in February 2021 in Raleigh. Wall was shot more than a dozen times while trying to deliver packages in Raleigh. Bynum will now be involuntarily committed to Central Regional Hospital, a state psychiatric hospital in Granville County.
Vice President-elect J.D. Vance is touring parts of western North Carolina, still recovering from Helene. He arrived in Nashville about an hour ago. He'll be headed to Fairview, also located in Buncombe County. Residents in the western part of our state survived Helene, and now they're dealing with bitterly cold temperatures, many of whom are still living in campers or makeshift shelters. Vance will meet with first responders and their families who are affected and still recovering from Helene.
The organization that accredits St. Augustine's University will make a final decision by early next week. The university has been on probation since July, working to prove that it is in good financial standing with proper oversight. Last month, St. Augustine's announced that it was cutting staffing in half and offering fewer classes in order to reduce expenses.
A song from the 70s is gaining a lot of traction these days. The singer who co-wrote YMCA now says it was not a gay anthem. Victor Willis says people assumed it was about gay life because his writing partner and some members of the band were gay. At the time he wrote the song, he says he didn't know the YMCA was a place for gay men to hang out. Willis's feelings on the issue are so strong, he's threatening legal action.
The National Park Service wants to help you visit one of the nation's parks for free next year. You have 6 opportunities to enjoy the park at no cost, and those dates are January 20th, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, April 19th, the first day of National Park Week, June 19th, August 4th, Great American Outdoors Act Signing Day, September 27th, National Public Lands Day, and November 11th, Veterans Day. There are more than 400 national parks across the United States. About 100 charge an entrance fee.
A 150-million-year-old dinosaur specimen is now on display in New York City. This is pretty cool. Check it out. The American Museum of Natural History unveiled the specimen known as Apex. It's considered the largest and one of the most complete Stegosaurus specimens ever uncovered. Apex has around 250 of its approximately 320 original bone elements. The remaining elements were filled in with 3D printed and sculpted components. A commercial paleontologist found Apex in 2022 on his own land near the town of, not making this up, Dinosaur, Colorado.
You lying. It's a real place. How about that? Our pet of the day comes to us from the SPCA of Wake County. Dale is a 3-year-old neutered male dog weighing 52 pounds. Look at this little guy. This delightful young doggy is as sweet-tempered as they come. He's very outgoing, loves affection, but he's well-mannered and easy to be around. What a gentleman, right? Dale is no bore, though. He has clearly got a goofy side, as you see in this picture. And tossing around some tennis balls, it's the perfect way to unlock that silly side. And Dale actually smiles. Looks kind of like a cartoon dog there. So if you're interested in Dale, run, don't walk to the SPCA to meet him.
What a cutie. Raleigh is set to transform Blue Ridge Road into a complete street. Coming up on WRAL News at 4, we'll tell you what it means and why it's happening.
A Johnston County man is now charged in the shooting of a 7-year-old on Thanksgiving Day on Parkertown Road in 4 Oaks. This is Eric McDonald. He was arrested December 3rd and charged with assault with a deadly weapon, inflicting serious injury, and discharging a weapon into occupied property. Investigators say a stray bullet hit a 7-year-old girl in the legs while she was playing outside with her family. Deputies found 18 bullets in that area. McDonald is due back in court after the first of the new year. NBC News Daily is next on WRAL, and your next local news update is in 30 minutes.
You can get breaking news updates anytime on our WRAL News app. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.